Just finished watching Monday Night Raw from Houston, Texas, and I'm just still in utter disbelief. Let's get into it. We start Monday Night Raw with CM Punk on his way through Gorilla on his way to the ring, which he will sit down in the reminiscent pipe bomb pose with his legs folded in the middle of the ring, and he would lay out a series of, let's say, events that has been going on behind the curtain. He talks about Roman Reigns. He talks about the board of directors. He talks about Pat McAfee. As a matter of fact, I have someone who can explain this a lot better than I can. So, without further ado, my new assistant to the Triple Crown champ, Friday. Friday, please explain to the fans, give them an overview of exactly what has been going on in the landscape of the WWE quite recently.
The corporate mask is officially slipping, and the Triple Crown champ is here to pull it all the way off. On SmackDown, Cody Rhodes didn't just cut a promo, he fired a shot directly at the boardroom. When he looked at the camera and said, "What are they going to do, fire me?" It worked out so well last time. He wasn't talking to his opponent, Randy Orton. He was talking to Ari Emanuel, the CEO of TKO, and the real-life inspiration for the ruthless agent Ari Gold from Entourage. This is about the Hollywood shark mentality taking over WWE. Look at the connection. Pat McAfee called out the skyrocketing ticket prices, and CM Punk backed him up on Raw, doubling down on the corporate greed. When Punk says he has a receipt coming, he's pointing at the same power play as Cody is. Between Cody's defiance and Punk's latest pipe bomb, the two biggest stars in the company are officially at war with the TKO machine. Whether it's Triple H trying to maintain control or the boardroom trying to sanitize the product, the rebellion is real, and the suit running the show is the real-life Ari Gold. The corporate era is here, but Cody and Punk aren't playing by the rules. Stay tuned for the unfiltered truth.
So a little bit of explanation there, as said Ari Emanuel, the current agent of Pat McAfee, which explains a lot. And I think this explains a lot more throughout the WWE, something that we will see throughout the show. Obviously, Cody Rhodes alluded to exactly this in his promo section. He actually spoke more on that himself on Friday Night SmackDown, covered that before. But this type of energy seems to be covered throughout the entire show. So that then led us to a segment with Austin Theory and LA Knight, rather a match between LA Knight and Austin Theory, which had the kind of storyline brewing with I Show Speed within it, which is another example of what seems to be interference from the TKO board. We're seeing this a lot more. We see it with Jelly Roll. We see it with I Show Speed. We're seeing it with Pat McAfee. Where the WWE are bringing in a lot of celebrities, and I don't think it's exactly the WWE at this point. We need to kind of understand TKO owns the WWE, but not necessarily the same thing. The WWE has always had directions in which it has gone, and the TKO seems to be overriding that, making, let's say, managemental decisions to bring celebrities in as they're trying to make it a more unilateral product. This happens with a lot of companies when instead of sticking with the market they have, which is pure wrestling fans, and maybe somewhat adjacent to that, they're trying to appeal to an even wider audience, which means they kind of start to lose their own actual fans, the real fans, as they're trying to bring in entities and pieces from everywhere. We watched this happen with, I would say, the Marvel Universe. Instead of being happy with the fans they had, they decided that they needed a piece of every demographic whatsoever. As long as that was a demographic of people, they needed a piece of it, instead of being happy with the demographic that they already had. This is what I think we're watching. And I think, quite frankly, WWE Raw this week from Houston, Texas was an absolute shit show. I watched probably one good match. Of all of those, it just seemed to be a 2.5 hour long advertisement. It was just advertisement after advertisement. If I can go through my list here, and I made sure I jotted down the most important ones, not even every single one, right? The most important one. So Austin Theory and LA Knight, we knew that wasn't necessarily going to end the right way. Austin Theory picked up the victory. It's going to lead to a 6-man tag at WrestleMania with I Show Speed. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I understand that they've integrated I Show Speed into this character and this theory, and I understand. I have seen the background within the WWE that has I Show Speed has been training for the last year or so. So it wasn't, maybe even more, because I believe he was training before he got hit with that spear at WrestleMania, because they trained him for that spear. But he has decided that wrestling may be something he wants to do. Maybe he wants to transition from the YouTube world, much like Logan Paul did. So in a way, I mean, that connection kind of makes sense. But quite frankly, I believe iShowSpeed is in there to tap into iShowSpeed's internet fan base, which Danhausen keeps mocking and making fun of, but it's very real. So yeah, none of us believe that iShowSpeed belongs in that situation. We could be wrong. We felt that about Logan Paul, and clearly Logan Paul did, and he's earned his stripes at this point. He is a wrestler we love to hate. Maybe iShowSpeed can be something like that, but I don't think iShowSpeed had the kind of pull that Logan Paul ever did have. I'm not saying he isn't a good performer. He seems pretty good, but WrestleMania isn't the stage for iShowSpeed. That's just TKO again trying to tap into his fan base. And what the problematic part is, I believe if you watch WWE Raw from Houston again, you can quite literally see the segments of the show that are controlled by creative, as in WWE creative, and the segments that are created by TKO for a broader purpose. The language, people speaking in their native language, whether it be Japanese and Spanish, is beginning to make a lot more sense. That's what I think it's about. It's about appealing to a wider worldwide audience, is what the WWE are trying to do. Well, not the WWE, TKO. So you can quite literally see that. It's also resulting in a push of certain wrestlers and a burying of other wrestlers, quite literally. That is becoming a lot more obvious now if you look through this. El Grande Los Americanos promo, I think, is a very good example of that. I think Los Americanos actually does work, though. So Los Americanos, they've gone to Mexico. Kaiser can speak Spanish because he can speak about 5 different languages. The boys are clearly learning a lick or two to be able to kind of pull off the character a little bit, but they're well loved in Mexico. So that kind of works. You see what they were going for, they shot for, and that it works in that situation. JD versus Finn, I kind of felt like JD versus Finn is a match we have seen so much many times before. Take, for instance, if two wrestlers meet each other, they're 3 or 4 years apart in age or whatever, they're from the same hometown, maybe they're not from the same hometown, maybe they met each other in this wrestling production and they kind of hit it off, maybe they don't hit it off, maybe they just have an absolute fantastic match, but they are two big fishes in an absolutely tiny pond. 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10 years go by and they both find themselves in a massive company like a TNA or a AEW or a WWE, indeed. Now, what do? Do you simply just recount that amazing match you had 10 years ago and you simply just rehash that match for this new company? Because bear in mind, these fans, they are WWE fans. They are religious to WWE. 9 times out of 10, they watch nothing else but WWE. So they've never seen this match that you had with your then friend or not friend or whatever. I find that happens a lot in the WWE, and it's exactly what I thought we would get when we had Finn Balor versus JD McDonough, because I have seen this match at least 3 times. I saw it on NXT UK, if I'm not mistaken. I saw it in NXT, and there was a point where we saw it on Raw as well. So on the WWE roster. So I've seen this match a whole lot of times. I'm glad the match didn't end up being a match. I'm glad it became a breakdown, and he was attacked. What's unique though is after that, we got the promo for Finn Balor as is going to be the Demon. Something I talked about a little while ago. I don't think this is the right time for the Demon whatsoever. At the time, I did allude to that, and I thought it might be a good idea to have the Demon. But once again, I don't think that Dominic Mysterio warrants the Demon. He's not big enough. He's not bad enough. He's just, that doesn't warrant the Demon. And ironically, I had someone in my comments that agreed with me on that. And it made me think a little bit more. Yeah, I don't think that is a very good idea to have Finn Balor come back as the Demon, but alas, that looks like exactly what they're planning to do. You saw the promo yourself. That led us to the match between Bayley and Lash Legend. I must say I was a little bit surprised by the end of this match. It ended up being Bayley that was the winner. I expected Lash and Nia to keep bullying, although they did quite literally do exactly that. By the way, I marked it as a Triple H segment, much like I marked the last segment as a Triple H segment as far as Finn Balor was concerned. That had Triple H clearly all over it and not TKO. And that led us to the Hulk Hogan promo ad for his new documentary on Netflix. And this is what I mean. It just seemed to be one big, massive ad, but there were so many promos stuck into the show. There were so many promos. As I said, Finn Balor had a promo after his supposed match that he was supposed to have but didn't have, and got completely annihilated in the ring. About 5 minutes later, there was a promo of him in a suit talking about how he got attacked on Raw like 5 minutes ago. It was clearly pre-packaged, but they could have let more time go in the show before they had aired that promo. It was so clearly pre-packaged. It just didn't go down well. It just didn't go down well. Then we had the Hulk Hogan promo for his new documentary. So another promo for a Netflix documentary. And then we had another promo segment with Seth Rollins and Gunther, where Gunther again attacks or tries to attack Seth Rollins, but Seth Rollins holds his own. And we now have another IOU segment between Seth Rollins and Gunther, similar to last year when Paul Heyman owed CM Punk. So the whole show was just like promo and setups, promo and setups, promo and setups. I believe there must have been like 3 matches. Then we had the Dragon Lee versus Los Americano matches, which I am giving something that is brand new to the channel, which I am calling the Triple Crown Awards. And that will be my match of the night. Penta, Dragon Lee, and Javon Evans versus Los Americano. All 6 of them did an absolutely fantastic job. That is my Triple Crown Award winner for Best Match of the Night, which led us again to another promo. This one now by Asuka. I called it the international effect because once again, speaking in Japanese, that's to me, it's got TKO all over it again, once again. Not much I could really say about that, which led us to Rio versus Meacham and B-Fab. Now, this was clearly a Triple H segment. The match was pretty good. It ended as expected. Everybody looked good. It kept Jade Cargill intact. Meacham and B-Fab looked good. I'm glad to see them getting matches. A little bit worried about what may have looked like a botched Spike Tornado DDT on Rhea, but she seems to be okay. So maybe I'm wrong. I got it wrong, and she's just a hell of a sell. She's a hell of a seller. So I believe that was a fantastic match. That was a fantastic match. That led us to Best Promo Segment. Now, this was obviously a toss-up between CM Punk and between Oba and Brock Lesnar. So in actual fact, I think I will give the MVP award, the Triple Crown MVP award, to Oba and Brock Lesnar because that segment was quite entertaining. I didn't know where they would go with this from this part here on out. Would Brock be the one that now puts Oba on his ass? But I think they actually did something unique and very smart with this, where nobody puts nobody on their ass. They're both 2 standing kaijus, if you will, in the ring against each other, and they have to be parted with a sea of security and officials. I think this was actually pretty well done. This is something I think the WWE got right. So the MVP award, the Triple Crown MVP award, goes to both Oba and Brock Lesnar. Where, of course, the Best Promo award goes to CM Punk, very reluctantly, but it was an excellent promo segment. Where he said some necessary things that needed to be said, and he pulled back the curtain a little bit, something we actually like CM Punk for. So he pulled back the curtains and revealed, and this time I actually think he was bang on the money, and it was necessary. If you like the content, please hit like, subscribe, hit the notification button, that lets you know when I'm uploading next. Until then, let me leave you with the joke of the day, or rather the botch of the day. So, until the next.
The ROH sign off the ring barrier. Trying to launch it in the ring. It won't go.
Sheet metal can have a mind of its own.
And it deserves punishment. 2 elbow drops.
Coming off the rope. Look at that. Oh! Oh! Oh, shit.